Hello, we are the Partially Paleo Parkers, and we are starting a new channel where we introduce and show you how we make mostly paleo recipes, but it's partially paleo because we do not follow the paleo diet to its strictest regimen.
Because we're poor.
Not poor, but we're not rich. So we have to substitute what we can afford, whether that be from our garden or family's garden, what we can get from the supermarket or any other grocery store. So we try and produce what we can as far as healthy meals and relatively inexpensive as possible. And anything that we do show you, will give credit to where credit is due. Most of these recipes aren't going to be original to our ideas. Maybe adjusted a little, but we'll give you the link to the original recipe, at least where we gathered the original recipe from, in the description below, so you can have that for your reference. And hopefully you can get inspired to find some healthy ways to make some delicious meals.
Yeah.
So today, you want to tell them what we're making today?
So today we're going to make a roasted cauliflower and aged white cheddar soup. It is incredibly delicious, and it is perfect for a very chilly winter day like today.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be good.
Yeah, so we'll show you the ingredients that we're going to use, and then we'll go through the relatively simple process of making this delicious food.
Yeah.
So
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
So obviously the main ingredient for cauliflower soup is cauliflower. We have 2 nice big heads of cauliflower that we're going to be roasting up. And then for flavor, we've got some great onions. We got some of these from our garden, some from a friend's, and they're incredibly flavorful, much more so than the ones you get at the grocery store. Other main flavor is thyme, really delicious, fresh, goes right in there, right in that soup, and very, very fragrant. Vegetable broth, and then I think the most important ingredient in the entire soup is the aged white cheddar cheese. You pay a little more for it, but it is phenomenal. So much more flavor than the stuff you buy in bags, and definitely worth it. Last but not least, we have salt, pepper, and oil, and garlic. And that's about it. Really a very, very low ingredient.
So what we have here is the cauliflower that we're going to be cutting up. I'm going to prep it here, and what we're going to do is just basically cut off the little florets, cut out this bottom piece here. However you want to do it, you can, whatever your preferred method is of obtaining the little florets, it's just fine. So we have our oven set at, preheated at 400 degrees. We're going to take this cauliflower, we're going to throw it in a pot, and we're trying to do kind of a one pot idea here. So we're going to use the same pot that we tossed the cauliflower in olive oil and a little bit of salt and pepper in. We're going to use that same pot, which is a Dutch oven, as what we're going to use to cook the soup in as well. So right now we haven't put heat on our pot yet. We're just prepping it to toss the cauliflower in. So it doesn't need to be anything pretty. It's just getting it out, basically. So however you feel like doing it, go ahead and do that. Just going to chop this up. Just get this stuff out as best as possible. Let's see what we get in this pot here. Now, what's going to happen with this cauliflower and the whole soup, actually, is it's going to be blended. And take our little immersion blender and blend it up. So these don't need to be pretty. They're going to get mixed up anyways. You just want them small enough that they're going to be able to kind of get blended easy enough with an immersion blender. I mean, we've done this with a full-size blender before, trying to dump the soup into a blender and then blend it and then pour it back out, and that was just silly. The immersion blender has worked really well for us. We saves another dirtying of your blender and everything else that goes along with that. Saves time, so it's just a lot less of a headache, a lot less of a mess. So, and using the one pot idea, we can also save is what we're going to be cleaning up ultimately in the end. So just keep tossing and cutting these up. We're going to do that with the next one. Then when we come back, we'll toss them and salt and pepper and pop them in the oven.
Alright, so once you have your cauliflower nice and chopped up, we're going to add some oil and get her ready to roast. When you add your oil, you don't want to add too much. You kind of want to add it in phases, I guess. You get it mixed up in between. But you don't want not enough oil either, or then it doesn't really roast well. You need that oil. So that's obviously not enough, so we're going to add some more. I know the recipe calls for a certain amount of oil. We're doubling the recipe, and we didn't really pay attention to the oil part of the recipe. We're just kind of chucking it in to make life easier. Alright, what do you think? Does that look like enough oil? A little more? Alright. Do one more good. Alright, then it's time to add the salt and pepper. I personally like a little bit of salt and a whole lot of pepper. I'm just going to grind it right in there and toss it up. Lost some cauliflower. Our kitchen's clean. Alright, and then we're going to lay this out in one good layer on some cookie sheets with parchment paper on it.
We are going to lay this out real quick, so you just take it and dump her on.
The goal is to get it in one layer, so you don't have too much overlapping.
And parchment paper just makes life so much easier with the mess, not having to mess with the pan.
Technically, it's not a one-pot meal because we're using other pans, but we count it because parchment paper means no cleanup.
If you do it right.
Which we do.
So, well then we'll just put these in. Alright, we're back here with our onions. I've got 3 onions chopped up, and I'm about to chop up another one. These are our garden-grown onions that we've mentioned before, but it doesn't matter. You can use the ones you buy in the supermarket. Since we are doubling the recipe, we're using about 4 small onions. Maybe take a couple large ones, or you can also adjust it to your flavor of how much you like onions. So just going to chop these guys up real quick. Then also, before I do that, actually, I'm gonna get my pan going here. Just a little heat on that bad boy, and some oil in there. That way, I'm gonna saute this onion up. It has some nice flavor with the soup. So, and then what we're doing, we're going to saute these up. Then we'll add garlic and thyme, and we'll show you that when it's time to put them in. So, but the skin is giving me a bit of trouble. Let me get that flaky layer off on the outside. There we go. Sometimes it's not so pleasant, and sometimes it doesn't want to blend up right, so I just pull it all off. That way it's not a problem. Then just a little dice job on this. So get these chopped up. Absolutely nothing fancy, just enough to be blended up with the cauliflower and the other ingredients well. Turn down the heat a bit there. Toss these bad boys in. I love that sound and smell of onions going in. It's delicious. Delicious. Alright, so we're going to let those saute for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll be back with the garlic and thyme. Alright, here we have our garlic. We're going to put in 4 loaves of garlic.
Loaves?
Or cloves. 4 loaves, yes. The loaves of garlic. No, 4 cloves of garlic. So just want to get these little bad boys out of the way first. Get that skin off, which is probably the most annoying part of garlic. But once you conquer the skin of the garlic, it's very rewarding. It's just, bless you.
Thanks.
So, and then one more. Alright. We can get all of that out of there without losing a bunch of the skin. Alright, so then the way we're going to do it, you might want to, if you want to hack off the little tough end, that's fine, you can, doesn't really matter. The way I do it is I'm going to mash these up completely. And nice and, or I can smash the garlic with my hand too. Garlic tends to stick sometimes, it gets rather annoying. However you want to chop it up, that's fine. Whatever works for you. Whatever gets it diced up a little bit there. And then I'm just going to put mine in a bowl for now until we go in to put it in with the onions for 1 minute. And then Lane is going to explain with the thyme.
So for thyme, it's really nice because it's already these nice little small leaves. You really don't have to worry about chopping it. The easiest way to do it is just take the sprig in your fingers and pull all the way along the stem. Shreds it off quite nicely. So here we have about 2 teaspoons of thyme. That's going to go in at the exact same time as the garlic, and they're gonna saute in there for just about a minute, just till they get fragrant.
All right, perfect. All right, just gonna give these onions a little bit of mash up. Wow, I'm all over with my produce today.
I didn't know about it.
Calling garlic with cloves, calling my garlic onions. At least I know that those are 2 ingredients that are supposed to be in there. And once again, reminder, it's just this is going to get blended up. So if it's not super tiny minced, not a big deal.
And if you really hate chunks of garlic, you can also use a garlic press.
You can, absolutely, yeah. Alright. Alright, so now we've got just about another minute for our onions to saute, and then we'll throw these in. So we have let our cauliflower roast for about 30 minutes. Now we've let our onions get nice and clear for about 7 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to throw in our garlic and our thyme. Thyme, if you can see that, there we go. And our garlic. But this only needs to be in there. Sorry about that, that's one of our timers. But you only want this to be in there for about a minute, and then we're gonna need to add the liquid, which is vegetable broth. We use the no MSG, and we also sometimes use an organic brand, whatever you prefer for there you go, for vegetable broth. However you prefer that. So I'm gonna dump in the garlic. You don't want it to burn, that's why we're only going to let it be in there for about a minute. Then thyme, get that nice fragrance in there.
You'll really start to smell it when it's time to add the rest of the stock. Give that a good stir. Then we're going to get the cauliflower. Alright, I bequeath to you the hot pad.
Ah, okay. So, going to get out the first one. We're going to add that right in there. Alright, set this aside. And we'll do number 2. Oh yeah. Look at that good crisp on those.
Alright, we're going to give that one good stir and then start adding liquid.
So, this calls for 6 cups of liquid. We have a little over 6 cups here. Basically what you want to do is you just kind of feel it out with how much liquid you want.
If you like a creamier soup, you might want to use less liquid. If you like it a little thinner, then you can use more.
And then we like ours a little thicker, a little creamier.
We'll use most of this guy. Maybe.
Let's see. That's good.
A little bit more.
One more.
Right?
Yeah, there we go.
We're going to bring that up to a good boil, and then it's got to simmer for about 20 minutes.
So once it's done at that point, and we'll come back and we'll add the last couple pieces to this delicious soup. So and we've finished simmering with the soup. We've just let it go about 20 minutes after we brought it to a boil. And now we're going to take an immersion blender and mix it all up. You can mix it to whatever consistency you want. Some people like it really finely chopped up, so there's basically no chunks. We personally don't mind having a little bit of the chunky cauliflower in there. It's just fine. Like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier, you can put it in a whole blender if you want to.
Or food processor.
Or food processor, anything of that nature. But this, we found, is the least messy, as long as you don't spray yourself with it.
Which I do, so he gets to play with the immersion blender.
Yes. It just saves a lot of cleanup, because this one you just pop off, wash this part, and back to work. Now, we do still have our burner on, right here on our stove top, so it's just set on low, so it just, because we still have to add a couple more ingredients, so we're just going to mix this up here. So if you've never used an immersion blender before, make sure that you're not just holding it out like this, because it will whip it around, so you have to keep it down low in your soup or whatever foods you're mixing up. As it sits in the fridge, and when we go to eat it for leftovers, just mix it up real quick here. That's what happens when you pull it out too soon.
That's why I don't get to play with the immersion blender.
Alright. No harm, no foul. Looks like we are good to go with that, so I'm gonna just knock this off here. And Lane has brought over the cheese.
So we've got about 3 cups of cheese. I really like cheese, so I feel like you could add as much as you possibly wanted, and it would just be delicious. If you can grate this much cheese without eating some, you're not doing it right. So I'm just going to start adding this slowly. and stirring as I go, because we don't want it to clump up. We want it to get nice and smooth consistency.
And this is why you need to have your burner on. Still, is to make sure there is heat to it, because you want this cheese to melt into it. There we go.
And like I said, you want to get not necessarily the best cheese, but something better than the cheap stuff, because it really does make a difference. It's a much richer flavor.
Yes.
It's just better.
A lot better.
This does somewhat add to the calorie count, but...
So if you are being... I'm going to be talking in the background, that dark face in the background here. So if you are conscious about calories, you can adjust this. Really, the main thing here is the healthy vitamins and minerals coming from the cauliflower. And you get some good... The vegetable broth is pretty good, but it's just a generally healthy meal, so you can alter the cheese amount to fit your dietary concerns.
And if you're doing full out paleo and you're doing no dairy, it really, you could come up with some other spices and flavorings and just have the cauliflower without the cheese, and it would be good.
Yeah, you might want to mix in maybe do a little spice, maybe like with red pepper or something like that. Make it a little spicier. We'll probably show some other soups that we do later that we make with some of our red pepper and some other spices that make it actually kind of like a spicy soup, but creamy still. So
right,
it's delicious, very delicious.
All right, so last but not least, we're going to be adding 2 cups of milk. This is, again, you can adjust this. It's really pretty good without the milk, so it's kind of up to you. We probably won't use the whole 2 cups because...
Well, it's plus the consistency. We're using milk, because that's what's in our refrigerator right now, and so you got to work with what you got. And it's we have used cream like half and half before, but you also don't want it to thin out too much if you're adding like a milk. This is 2% milk, so you don't want to thin it out too much.
We'll start with a cup and then see from there. And this is the point when you do want to turn your burner all the way off.
Let the cheese melt in there. It's become nice and creamy with the cheese, and now the milk is just into that, making it a little bit creamier.
Taste test.
A little bit of flavor on it. Let's see here.
A little more milk?
Good.
No, are we good?
I don't think we need more milk.
Okay.
Give it a little sip, see what you think.
I think it's really hot.
It's hot here, like.
Just don't do it. Here comes the airplane. I actually think it's perfect.
I think we hit this one right. This is the first time we've double batched it. Normally we've only single batch, so it does alter the way things mix together a little bit. But that's what's so lovely about these recipes, especially the ones we like to do with our soups, is they're so easy to alter and make to your own palate, taste, and desires. So, give you one last little view of the final product here. So maybe I can shake you around just a little bit as you're watching. I do apologize.
It's got nice, creamy consistency. The thyme makes it really pretty, and when you serve it up, you can sprinkle a little extra thyme in there, just to make it pretty.
Yeah. So thanks for watching the Partially Paleo Parkers. Hope you've enjoyed this first recipe that we've made. I know we're about to go and enjoy a nice big bowl of it because it's chilly outside. I think it's going to get down to 22 or something like that tonight.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be
really
cold.
And so we're going to go warm our insides with this soup.
Thanks for watching.